This is Fred Wall, the Visa Coach. Today's topic is how to bring your fiancé to the USA.
VisaCoach. Fast, easy, and personal.
I am Fred Wall, the Visa Coach, and I am known for the personal, one-on-one relationship, that we share. That's you, me, and your partner, as we work together as a team to overcome the many challenges of immigration. Please don't risk your happiness. Don't go this course alone. Alone, it's far too easy to make mistakes that cause tears, delays, and expensive denials. Do well, just pick up the phone and speak with me directly so that you and I can get to know each other. This is the complimentary case evaluation I talk about later. And if we are compatible, that'll be the beginning of our beautiful relationship to get you the immigration approvals that you need. Now, this is what two of my clients, Bill and Ida, had to say. Ida comes from Indonesia, and I helped her get her K1 Fiance Visa and her two children K2 Fiance Dependent Visas. And later, I helped them get their conditional green cards. We decided to hire VisaCoach after I visited a local California law firm that specializes in immigration and reviewed several blogs and stories from others that have gone before us. There seemed to be many choices. However, with such an important event, I wanted experience, and specifically experience in this process. From what I had read, it wasn't really legal advice that I was needing, it was advice and help with the actual process. VisaCoach was clearly the correct choice, since we are a legitimate couple and just needed to know the ins and outs of the process so that we didn't get delayed. We hired VisaCoach, and it turns out that the fee was very reasonable for the amount of help, guidance, and answering of numerous questions at various stages of the process. That's what I do. Also, when I received the first email from VisaCoach with detailed instructions for every application form, document checklists in various categories, hundreds of preparation questions, written expectations of timelines, etc., this really confirmed my belief that VisaCoach was the correct choice. After meticulous preparation by Fred Wall and submission to USCIS, we successfully and quickly received the visa approval. My fiancé arrived in USA December 23rd, 2016. After getting married in February 2017, we hired VisaCoach immediately to prepare the AOS, Adjustment of Status, so that my wife and the kids could stay here in the US. Filed the AOS March 22nd, 2017. Interview for green card was February 20, 2018. That's earlier this year. The interviewing immigration officer was very professional, yet friendly, and made a comment. Wow, you guys are very organized and prepared. That's our front-loaded petition. We will use VisaCoach for the next part of this process, the conversion of the 2-year conditional green cards to permanent green cards. Well, Bill and Ida, you are most welcome. It has been a pleasure working with you. Now, let's talk about how to bring your foreign fiancé to the USA. Your foreign fiancé needs permission from the US government to allow her or him to enter the USA. And this is called a K1 Fiance Visa. Now first, we work together to produce a thick packet of forms, evidences, and civil documents. This is required to demonstrate that you are eligible to apply and that your true agenda is a genuine life together, not any kind of immigration fraud. The application itself looks pretty simple. It asks for name, rank, serial number. And this often leads to overconfidence. Couples who really don't understand what all will happen fill in the blanks themselves, submit the petition, and frankly, usually end up shooting themselves in the foot. This typically results in the leading case of denial, which is failure to convince the consular officer who interviews your fiancé that your relationship is genuine, is bona fide. Sadly, U.S. immigration has had bad experience in the past with this type of romance visa. Many who were not eligible applied for fiancé visas. And in reality, they were not seeking a marriage partner, but only seeking admission to the USA. So gold diggers, gigolos, con men, even, well, terrorists have used fiancé visas as a backdoor into the USA. And normally in the USA, one is innocent until proven guilty. But because of the bad apples who abused fiancé visas before you, well, now immigration takes the attitude, well, guilty until proven innocent. This is how a lot of couples get in trouble. They sadly end up shocked at what happens at the interview. Because they are in love, they assumed, well, no special effort to prove their situation was needed. They assumed the consular officer, well, would instantly approve. So they filled in the forms themselves, filling in the basic name, rank, and serial number, or they hired a cheap online fast form filling service. These cheap bare bones applications are usually enough to get one's foot in the door. So it's usually enough to get your fiancé sitting opposite a consular officer for the interview. But sadly, just having your chance at bat, chance to interview, is often not enough to win approval. It is not enough to demonstrate that your application is bona fide. And now the consular officer must dig, ask a lot of questions, and it can easily deteriorate into what feels like an interrogation until he feels that he has enough feeling about the case to make a yes or no decision. And if he is short of time, or impatient, or close-minded, or in a bad mood, or if your fiancé is not, well, fast and fluent enough to provide convincing answers, well, the simpler course for the officer, the safer course that does not risk his career or professional reputation, is to deny. So my signature philosophy at VisaCoach is that we get success by, well, doing the consular officer's job for him. Now what that means is that, well, a consular officer starts with a certain expectation of what an eligible couple looks like. Now, if we show him proof that the couple's situation matches his expectations, well then, we are moving the case towards approval. So when I work with a couple, I first discuss with them, well, what have they been doing? And then I explain what the consulate they will be interviewed at expects them to have done. Then I suggest what actions the couple should take in order to do, well, the right thing, the thing that's expected. Doing the right thing, however, well, is not good enough. Next, we need to document that the right thing was done. So I teach my clients ways to create evidences that show what happened. And I review these evidences to pick and choose the most relevant and effective ones. But having evidences that the right thing was done still is not good enough. Last, we have got to make sure that the officer sees these evidences. And that's what a bare bones DIY or cheap, rapid form-filling service misses. A full set of well thought out, well selected, and properly presented persuasive evidences of a couple's bona fides. And that's exactly what the VisaCoach front-loaded application is. We include with every application high-quality evidences specifically demonstrating that you have a bona fide relationship. We front-load the evidences into the original application because we know these evidences will get into the consular officer's hands before the interview starts. We know that the consular officer always reviews the original application materials before the interview starts. So my front-loaded applications are crafted to do the consular officer's job for him. During his review, before your fiancé sits down in front of his desk, the consular officer should have already seen and reviewed the type of evidences that allow him to confidently approve your visa. He should be very receptive to say yes, even before your fiancé sits down. Finally, the petition package is mailed to USCIS, the United States Customs and Immigration Service, to their offices in Dallas, Texas. Now, this year in 2018, USCIS takes about 7 to 8 months to review and approve. And this includes a criminal background check conducted on you, the American, by the FBI. Now, this is sadly vastly slower than in recent years and is due to the executive orders issued by President Trump for USCIS to conduct more vigorous reviews, so-called extreme vetting of all cases. Now, when finished, USCIS hands the case over to the U.S. State Department's National Visa Center, NVC, based in New Hampshire. Fiancé visa applications are held only briefly at NVC, usually a few weeks, just long enough for NVC to assign a new case number and then forward your case via diplomatic pouch to the consulate assigned to your fiancé. Now, about the same time your case is on its way to the overseas consulate, I update you on what the current procedures are at the consulate. And they're kind of always changing. Anyway, I'll update you at that time. I guide you and your fiancé on what needs to be done at your fiancé's country. How to schedule the interview, where to take the medical, what final fees are needed, and how to obtain the required official documents, such as, police clearances, certificates of singleness or no marriage. Here in the USA, I'll guide you as to what financial evidences you must send your fiancé, as well as preparing the affidavit of support for your signature. Finally, in the run-up to the interview, I provide a detailed, personalized checklist on what all your fiancé should bring with him or her to the consulate on the day of the interview. Now, this is especially important, as forgetting to bring a required document can cause weeks of delays, as even if a missing document is provided the following day, the consulate officers have already moved on to new cases, and they make it a very low priority to circle around and reopen a case to verify it's complete after a late submission. Now, 1 to 2 weeks before the interview, your fiancé must undergo a thorough medical exam and review of his or her vaccinations and medical records at a clinic appointed by the consulate. Finally, your fiancé attends the interview at the U.S. consulate. This is the big event. During the interview, the consular officer must be convinced that your relationship is bona fide and not a sham for immigration purposes. And as previously mentioned, at the interview is where the high-quality VisaCoach front-loaded application typically wins the day. The consular officer always reviews the case file, the application, before the interview starts. So we craft your application so that he finds many good reasons why he should trust the two of you and approve the visa. And even before he invites your fiancé to sit in front of his desk, we want him to have seen our carefully selected and presented evidences and be, mentally prepared to say yes. Typically, this interview turns into a fast and friendly formality. Most VisaCoach clients here welcome to USA, in just 3 to 4 minutes. Then 1 to 2 weeks later, your fiancé's passport with its visa are delivered, and your fiancé then has 6 months to start the trip to join you in the USA. After arrival to the USA, you have 90 days to marry. Sorry, but even though you have persevered and gotten the fiancé visa, and your fiancé has come to the USA, and you have had your wedding and honeymoon, U.S. immigration is still not done with you. Now, we overcame their skepticism and convinced them that your relationship was bona fide, so they issued the fiancé visa. But I'm afraid we have to do it all over again. And not once, but twice. After the wedding, your fiancé does not have to leave the country. She or he can remain with you as your spouse if you apply to U.S. immigration for permission for her to remain in the USA as a lawful permanent resident. This is called adjustment of status. Your new spouse adjusts her or his status from that of a temporary, just 90-day fiancé visa visitor to a permanent resident. At the end of the adjustment of status application process, your spouse gets what's known as the green card. Okay. But U.S. immigration is still cautious, still skeptical. The green card that is granted is only conditional, meaning it's only good for 2 years. Before the 2 years is up, we apply once again. This time it's called application for removal of conditions on residence. We apply, it is granted, and now your spouse gets a regular green card that does not have conditions. And a year later, your spouse, if she wants, is eligible to apply for U.S. citizenship and get a U.S. passport. And don't worry, even though there are many steps, well, VisaCoach is ready to help you through each and every one. From Fiancé Visa through to conditional green card, then unconditional green card, and finally to U.S. citizenship. This was Fred Wall, the VisaCoach. Now please like or add your comments to this video. And then go to VisaCoach.com and sign up for the VisaCoach monthly newsletter. Each month it is full of tips and advice on marriage-based immigration, and it's free of charge. And when you sign up, you get 2 free ebooks that I have written, 120 K1 Visa interview practice questions, and 5 things you must know before starting your visa. Finally, when you are ready to get started, call me for your complimentary case evaluation and speak with me directly.
Before starting on your immigration adventure, before entering an arcane maze of rules, regulations, and procedures, before committing yourself to a risky path that could mean an end to your happiness, speak with the VisaCoach and ask for his free case evaluation. He listens to you to learn the red flags and strengths of your case, your eligibility and goals. He will suggest which visa is right for you, the best strategy to get it, and how soon your love could join you. VisaCoach's friendly advice and support might make the difference between approval and denial, and could save you months or years of loneliness and separation. What have you got to lose? Book your free evaluation today.